Welcome back to part 2 of the cylinder head. To start this video off, we've got a bit of a time lapse where I've gone through lapping in the valves and I've started working on the valve clearances, which I'll talk about after the time lapse. So the point we're at now, we've got the valves in, some of the valves in and some of the valve clearances measured. Moving on later, we're going to have to adjust the valve clearances, install the rest of the valves and talk about the camshaft and what we need to do later on. So this video is going to take a little while to create because I've got some bits to order, but I'll explain more after the time lapse. So the last little section of video you watched was me assembling the cylinder head as far as I could, and I had a little problem with the valve stem seals. There's only valve stem seals, as I mentioned in the last video, on the inlet valve stems, and I had a problem fitting them. The ones that came with the gasket set I bought, I couldn't fit. They just, without taking the little metal piece that strengthens it off, I couldn't get it to fit over the valve guide and ended up damaging each of the stem seals. So I just assembled the exhaust valves, measured the clearances and made a few notes. So I'm going to grab the head back from over there and put the inlet valve stem seals on, put the lash caps on and the springs and collets, and reassemble the inlet valves, and then I can get the camshaft bolted down and measure the valve clearances properly across all of them. So now you see me fit the inlet valves, the valve stem seals, the little lash caps and the buckets. So I bolted the cam down and then measured the valve clearances. The valve clearance I need to get is 0.35 millimeters, and each one's measured. I've written them down up here on the boiler. A bit silly, but I'm going to take a picture of that and put it in a spreadsheet because I've got some calculations to do. So each one has measured 0.5 or 0.55 mil, so that's 0.15 millimeters too larger clearance. And the way the valve clearances are adjusted on this engine is, if I can just pop off one of these shims. Is with these shims. Now this one here is 4.45 millimeters thick, so in order for the valve clearance to be right, that would need to be 4.6 millimeters thick. So I've got to do a little bit of searching and find some 4.6 mil shims. I don't know if you can buy them that thick for Volvos. I may have to look at other manufacturer shim sizes. The next cylinder 2 is 4 millimeters, so I need to find some that are 4.15, which is pretty straightforward. So I've got to write it all down and work out exactly what I need, and then I need to search for them online. I can swap these shims for the slightly thicker ones and then get it all bolted together. A few more days have passed since the last section of video you watched, and these have arrived in the post. These are my new valve shims. Some 4.6, that's a 4.6, 4.15, 4.65, 4.15, 4.6, 4.6 and 4.15. These are what I need to correctly space the, correctly set the valve clearances on the Volvo cylinder head that we're working on. So I'm going to grab it, it's just sat over there under a sheet, keep them clean, so I'm going to grab it and stick these in place. So that bit of time lapse you just watched was me realising that I ordered the wrong size shims. I messed up measuring my shims, which meant I ended up with the wrong size shims. So I've had to order another 4 or 5 maybe shims. So I'm waiting for them to come. In the meantime, what I have got that's right is another, I don't know if you remember in the first video about the engine, I talked about the piston rings. I only had 3 cylinders worth and the gap. So I've got the 4-cylinder piston rings. I'm going to stick them in number 3 and measure them and see what the gap's like with this brand new packet of piston rings. So I'll do that and I'll let you know. I've just taken that measurement of those piston rings in number 3 and they came out as 27 thousandths of an inch, so I can't remember how that relates to what I need. I think it's a little bit high still, so I need to go away, do a bit of looking around, see what the right measurement is. And that's really that. If that piston ring gap's too big, then it tells me the bore's too big on this block. So if that's the case, I may well get the other block that I've got rebored to 96mm rather than using this block. So we'll see. There's other benefits to that as well. The other block's got larger main bearings and the crankshaft looks in a bit better condition, I think. Well, this one's good. All the journals and all the bearing surfaces have been polished, but I don't know, we'll see. So I'm going to have a bit of a think, do a bit more Google research, and I'll let you know probably at some point in the future. So the next bit you'll see is hopefully my new set of shims have come and I can reassemble the cylinder head again. My replacement shims have arrived, so I'll grab the cylinder head again, stick you on time lapse, and I'll fit these shims, and hopefully that'll be the last time I have to do this. So that's it, finally. The cylinder head is all assembled, the valve clearances are all correct. So this is my KL Racing T4 camshaft. The cylinder head you've seen me do a little bit of porting on, all assembled, ready to go. So for now I'm going to stop working on the Volvo engine and get some work done on the Mini. So I'm going to kind of shelve that for a bit, but in the meantime I might just stick this on the car, seeing as this will run on the car perfectly fine, and it's got fresh seals, it's got freshly lapped valves, it's all cleaned up, and it's had that little bit of porting, and it's got the new camshaft in it. So I'm going to stick this to one side for now, get some work done on the Mini over the next week or two, and come back when I'm going to fit this to the car.